Well, finally, after almost 2 years of umming and ahhing and will it and won't it, Ryan Giles has finally returned to the Boro, albeit only on loan. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and Boro have another signing. We have brought Ryan Giles back to the club on loan until the end of the season from Hull City. On the Boro website, it does mention his previous loan spell with Boro, of course, in the 22-23 season, where he was very successful with 12 assists. He was pivotal in Boro's attack with all the goals we scored and how good we were that season in the run-up to the playoffs on that left-hand side. It mentions, obviously, his move to the Premier League after that, where he chose to go to Luton over coming back to Boro on a permanent basis, and how that didn't work in the top flight for him before going back to Hull or coming back to the Championship with Hull on loan, which was made permanent only in the summer. And even then, his chances at Hull have been limited since. He then returns to Boro, of course, who you've got to say are the team, and Michael Carrick is the only coach who has got the absolute best out of Ryan Giles, and I think he'd probably say the same. If it wasn't for Luton being a Premier League side in that summer, he probably would have come back to Boro, and I think since that move went wrong, his eye's always kind of been on coming back to Boro, and I think Boro's eye has always been on him coming back to Boro as well. Every single window we've been linked, every single window we've been close, but it's never quite happened. Finally, he has come back and has been the only left-back to work in any sort of form under Michael Carrick in his system. We've mentioned, and I've done a full video on this. I will direct you over to that video now if you want to know my real in-depth thoughts on Ryan Giles coming back to Boro and the pros and the cons, and why I think it's both a good deal and a bad deal at the same time. He is the only left-back who has worked in this system to any sort of a degree. You know, all the other left-backs have not really offered us anything going forward, but have continued to be exposed defensively just down to Boro's system. And I don't think this will change. I don't think this will shore us up defensively at all, but it will give us something down the left-hand side, some form of width, some form of danger, some sort of threat down that left-hand side, which we don't have at the moment. And of course, the players in front of him will invert, and Giles will now be allowed free rein down the left-hand side to put them brilliant balls into the box. And there's no doubt his delivery is absolutely outstanding and is a striker's dream. So this does give Boro an extra dimension of threat on both sides. Doak on the right, Giles on the left. Defensively, I still feel like there's a lot of work to do in terms of helping the left back and tweaking the system to stop that being such an easy area for the opposition to target. But at the same time, they'll have to worry about Giles coming at them from an offensive point of view, and this is something we've seen work very effectively before. So if Boro can return to that system that worked ever so well in the playoff campaign, here's hoping he could be a key asset to getting Boro back to somewhere around that swashbuckling best that we were in 22-23. So I'm delighted he's back. I'm delighted to see him back in a Boro shirt. I do have my reservations. I do have reasons to be really happy about this deal, and he's just a really likeable character. He's a player I really enjoyed watching in his previous spell at Boro, and there's a degree of relief, I think, to see this one finally get over the line. However, there is a bit of a surprise that it is only a loan deal with apparently no option to buy, which I find really, really interesting. Now, I wouldn't have been surprised if there was an option to buy, because it always felt like the only potential stumbling block between Boro and Hull, and what has always been the stumbling block even going back to the summer, was how the deal was structured financially, because he's not been at Hull very long, so buying him out of his contract would cost Boro a significant fee, given the fact they signed him for, I think, was it 4 or 5 million in the summer. So for Boro to try and get him out of his contract, we'd have to get somewhere near that. So I can see why, even at this point, only 6 months into his permanent spell at Hull, maybe a permanent deal was still a little bit too expensive for Boro to pull off. But at the same time, his stock right now is at its absolute lowest. Boro will not have to pay any more than what they'd have to pay right now for Ryan Giles, whether that's 2 million, 2.5, 3 million. His stock's at his absolute lowest, and now's probably the best time to try and buy him permanently. And if he has a very good loan spell for Boro and has a great 6 months or whatever, Boro will then have to cough up a lot more money than what we would have now. And it's fully in Hull's court. They're in a very strong position. They've played a bit of a blinder, to be honest, because if Giles has a successful spell, and you'd like to think he's only going to get better and improve at Boro under Carrick, when Boro could have maybe had to pay only £2 to £3 million now, we might then have to pay 4 to 5, maybe even plus that in the summer if we want to make this move permanent. So I am sort of surprised that even if we were forced into a loan right now, there isn't some form of an option to buy. But at the same time, a loan deal is low risk. So if things don't go well, he's not Boro's problem and we don't have to worry about him come the summer. And we have already got 4 left-backs at the club, as I mentioned in my previous video with McCormick, Bangura, Borges and Engel. And I always thought having 5 permanent left-backs at the club was a little bit too much for Boro. So maybe we want to just loan him for now. If he does well, it gives us more time to maybe help Engel find a move in the summer. Hell, by then Borges will have been here for nearly a year. He might move on in the summer. I think that would then open up space for Boro to maybe then go back in and sign Giles on a permanent. This could just be a litmus test few months just to see if he's still got it. You know, he's been through a tough 18 months or so since he left Boro, 24 plus months, whatever it is. So maybe there's a slight hesitation on Boro's part that he could be the player he once was. Maybe we're just a little uncertain of how long it might take him to get up to speed. So we just want to try it out. And if it doesn't work, we move on. We can absolutely draw a line under Ryan Giles. If it does, maybe we're just accepting that we might just have to pay a little bit more money than what we would have to pay right now. Plus, another thing that I've heard is that his wages at Hull are pretty big. So if he was to come into Boro with the same wages that he has at Hull, that would significantly affect Boro's current wage structure, which is something that's really, really important to how we operate. So it could be a case that his wages are just too big for Boro at this moment in time. It makes sense financially, week to week, short term, for Boro to split the wages with Hull City, whether it's straight down the middle, 60-40, 70-30, whatever it may be. So I can see both sides to it, but I would have just liked that little bit of added security that there was an option for Boro in the summer if we want it to buy him in the future if he wants to become a permanent Boro player. Because at the end of the day, if we don't go up, Hull don't go down, he goes back to Hull in the summer, this all feels a bit pointless. Like we've just not really gone anywhere. We've just improved an asset for Hull, maybe risen his stock so they can sell him on for more money, and then we've not really seeked any benefit other than Giles was back for a bit and Boro are still in the Championship. So there's a bit of a low risk to it. Other parts of it that feel a little bit pointless, but then there's financial parts of it as well that make sense too. So there's so many different perspectives that you can look at this deal and pros and cons. But the bottom line is what happens on the pitch, and what I hope will happen on the pitch is that Ryan Giles returns and has just as much of a successful spell at the club as he did previously. I hope it means Boro can adopt that 3-2-5 in attack with how we played in 22-23, with hopefully us dropping into a back three defensively. Maybe the right back, whether it's Ayling or Dijksteel, can just surrender any sort of attacking threat. They can just sit in a back three with maybe Ed Morris protecting as well. Doak down one side, Giles down the other. And what Boro have been missing, especially at home when breaking down low blocks, is quality balls from wide areas. So hopefully with them both in the team, it'll allow us to stretch opposition sides, keep the width, put quality into the box, and hopefully it'll help us score more goals and only be an offensive benefit, while hopefully ensuring that the defensive issues either improve or don't get worse. We'll have to wait and see. But let me know your thoughts on this deal. Obviously, as I mentioned in that video I did, head versus heart. My head has so many logistical reasons for why this is a good or a bad deal, but my heart thinks this is brilliant, and I'm delighted he's back. I can't wait to see him in a Boro shirt once again. It feels like he's been returned home in a sense, even though at no stage has he ever actually been a Boro player fully. So let's see what happens, but it's great to get this one over the line, and hopefully it's the first of many others that Boro have taken over between now and the deadline. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always, hit a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe for more and hit the bell too, so you never miss when a video drops here on the channel. Comment below with your thoughts on this deal, and I'll be back tomorrow for my preview of the game ahead of Preston, where we'll probably see Ryan Giles back in the squad, which should be exciting. But until then, take care guys. See you all in the next one.